Hi, I'm Cher Patrick, and welcome to Wings Over the Rainbow, The Forgotten Pets. We're here today to talk about birds and things that are good for birds, bad for birds, and about just birds. With me today, I'm pleased to introduce Deborah Schell, who is the founder of Wings Over the Rainbow, Chris Hubin, who is on our board of directors, as is Steve Gardner.
Yeah,
that was right.
That was it.
That's it. That's it. Got it. And myself, Cher Patrick. I'm also a board member, and we're here because we love birds. And I think that a lot of people. We've done this show numerous times.
Yeah.
We are a nonprofit organization, and what's our goal?
Our goal is to eventually get some land and to build big free flights and a place of safety for these parrots. But we also are available, and we want very badly to help people keep their parrots, to solve the problems that they have in not being able to deal with some of the aggression, some of the problems that just comes along with having a parrot. Okay, you're out there in la la land not knowing what to do with it, getting to know your bird and not be afraid of your parrot. When it becomes aggressive, people, they don't want to get rid of their parrots, but if you can't handle your parrot,
that's important, and we help a lot of people get
exactly.
that. One of our board members, named Mary, had a bird that was in a cage for many, many years.
14 years.
14 years, and
in Amazon.
Birdie.
Yeah.
And came in one day with Birdie in a cage and walked out with Birdie on her shoulder.
Exactly.
And Birdie's been there ever since.
Oh yeah, and that's the thing. It's getting people to learn how to socialize their bird and to be social with their bird.
That's one of the things that we're talking about today is socializing your bird. When you get a new puppy, you socialize your puppy so that it's a good dog, and we need to do the same thing with our birds. Now my birds, I was just interacting with Isis, and we're looking at Isis right now, or we're looking at her. She's a beautiful, beautiful girl. And was she this good when you first got her?
Oh yeah, when we went down to the family in Milltown, we held her multiple times. She never bit either one of us. She actually waited until we got home to bite us, and we had some issues with that, and that's actually what got us into Wings Over the Rainbow, is that we needed to figure out how to get her to be nicer.
And this is such a typical, we all know, this is so typical. People get these big guys, and I don't care, even a small one will hurt just as much. Trust me, a little parakeet hanging off your finger does not feel good.
And that reminds me of a story.
Oh, go ahead.
All right, real quick, and we'll get back to Isis. I can remember when my daughter, when you were on Far Hills.
Oh, God.
Wings has moved a little bit from Far Hills to Wilmington Avenue to now 4950 Springboro Park.
And hopefully
Pike.
to a new place soon.
And hopefully to a new place soon. But we're still here. We're still here, and we will be here. Anyway, so my daughter Becky was probably 9, 10 at the time, and there was a little cockatiel hanging off her finger. And she's screaming, "Help me, help me," because this bird's hanging off her finger. So I go take the bird. Right? Now the bird's hanging off my finger, but nobody cares that the bird's on my finger. So they're all helping Becky with her, "Oh, let me see, is it okay? Let's get you a Band-Aid." Meanwhile, I'm like, "Ow."
This is one of the goals we have, and I find is the worst. People get these guys. They buy them on impulse, or they go to an auction and they think, I'm going to get a big bird for cheap. They go into a pet store and they see this wonderful, sweet little baby. Well, that baby grows up. Well, most people have no concept on how to actually deal with a parrot. And our goal, and with the help of everybody here, because many of you participate in this all the time, is to help train people to be able to work with their birds. And socializing your bird not only helps that bird bond with you, but it becomes less afraid of other people. And it's a building of trust, because birds are extremely social in the wild. That's their natural. People wonder why birds like us. Well, it really isn't that birds like us.
Why would they like us?
They don't really. No, they really, it has nothing to do with them liking us. Their natural instinct is to socialize. And if they cannot find another bird to socialize with, they're going to socialize with us. And that's why when people have multiple birds, if they don't know what they're doing, they end up with aggressive birds. Whereas if you start off with just one parrot and really work with that one parrot, you end up with a really good social.
Good pet.
Yeah.
Wow, did we not pay enough attention to you? We forgot to introduce Blue.
Oh gosh.
That's Blue, everybody. Blue is Steve's bird.
Adam.
And
One of them.
one of them. And Blue is a sweetheart, well socialized, very sweet bird. Now, was she like that when you got a hold of her?
Blue was kind of standoffish, a little skittish, but not really real aggressive. She's cage aggressive. She still is a bit cage aggressive.
What
I
does
wouldn't
cage
suggest.
aggressive mean for people who don't know? that
Once she's
term?
in the cage, she likes to stay there and don't go in to get her if you're not strong-willed, because she's not going to turn loose. Once you get her out, she's very social. She seems to enjoy women more than men, but yeah, cage aggression, a lot of birds can be that way, and that's just like protecting their home. I mean, that's their environment. They don't want you in it.
It's like,
and
back
they're going to hold
off.
you out. Yeah.
No touching
And we tell people, let your bird always come out first on its own. Once he's out of that cage, more than likely that bird's going to be able to step up right on you. But then I'm not a believer in step up. We do it completely. We go behind, because I don't believe in putting your hand in front of a bird to get bit. Even Zoe will bite the crap out of me.
But if you come behind,
But you come behind her.
like so, step up, girl. They
Get
can
her.
still turn
So-
around and bite.
Come on.
Step up. She doesn't want to.
Yeah.
Now, this is a good topic of conversation. She's telling me no.
Yeah.
Now, if I persist,
She'll step up on
she'll
you.
step up, or she may bite me. But this is one of the things with training your bird is that you have to be be willing to bleed, and B, be consistent. Now, if I jerk my hand away, I'm teaching her that by threatening me, that
She
she'll
won.
get me. She's training me to back off. But now that I've started this,
You have to finish.
I have to finish it, folks. So
And
I
the-
may get
Cher's
live
big-
here, but
Cher-
we see,
Cher's biggest
up.
mistake
Step
is
up.
that Zoe is so far.
Oh, now this is not at
Now
all
get
what
her.
we planned to have
See,
happen.
Is that
Oh,
okay? This the typical what Cher did. The mistake she made is that Cher is leaning way into Zoe, and Zoe's like, I don't think so, lady.
Yeah.
Okay, and we go behind. We do go backwards
Yes.
because a bird steps backwards naturally. Put your hand now. She won't bite me, but she does when she wants to. If a bird, you put your hand here. Don't even think about it, little girl.
Like, you guys
she's
are
gonna bite
messing
me.
with me, and I was very
okay?
fine.
But yet, if you go behind them, they just step back.
And you know something that
Good girl.
I've recently discovered, and we've never
Yeah.
touched on. They're right and left-handed birds.
Oh, I know.
And
I know.
and there's a lead foot that they like to
Always.
use, and I've just really figured that out
Well, I've
recently
told you
with a
that
few of my
before.
birds.
I've- we've talked about that
And,
before.
Yeah, they have their preference, and they don't like to do it any other way.
Now,
so.
and I tell people, get to know your body language. Zoe's left-handed. Okay, she loves to step backwards, left. Now I'll let her do it that way, but she usually uses this. This is her foot. That's her foot of preference, and if you notice, you can a bird, you can pass it back and forth, and the neat thing about working with your parrot like this is she's getting to trust everybody else, and she knows I'm not going to let anyone hurt her.
Right.
And this is socializing her. But what you did wrong
Was being off balance.
was being way off balance with her. And as you notice, she slipped, and she's like, I don't think so, lady. That's
But-
when you get bit.
And that was my advantage, though, because at that point she was off
Uh-huh.
balance, and I was able to rescue her from her embarrassment, her fall.
But sometimes that doesn't make good for a good scenario because they can
No.
get hurt.
Exactly, and that would not be my preferred way of doing it. Now, the other thing with my birds, they get back behind their big cages sometimes, and so I have to extend my arm. And the way I do it is I use a big manzanita perch that makes my arm longer, and they will step up to it and then climb right up on my arm, and that works just fine. But the whole thing, there's a lot of good reasons to socialize your bird. For one thing, taking them to the vet. It always helps if your bird's used to being handled by other people, so that when the vet needs to work with them. But it's just, I think it makes for just a happier
what
bird.
happens if you have to go away?
Right.
If you have to board, if all birds are social. They like to interact, and it's really important for their mental condition. The more you isolate your bird, the more aggressive your bird is going to become. You have to socialize birds. You yourself, I'm sure, has found, since you've been socializing, Isis. She's been doing a lot better. She's actually letting more people pick her up.
Oh yeah, we've had kids pick her up when we've taken walks around the neighborhood. We've had people at Speedway hold her. I mean, she loves people.
And the reason we had Steve bring Blue is to start getting her more social so that she can start becoming more of a pleasant bird. It's much more pleasant. And it's so much fun to take your bird to the park. Okay? If you're walking your dogs around the neighborhood, why isn't your bird with you? Okay? They probably, more so than dogs, like to be outside.
And that is one of the things we do in the summertime, and then people don't believe it because we'll have the 2 dogs and each of us will have a bird too, and we'd be walking, and we get a lot of reaction out of that.
You can even take them to the mall. Take them to several places where there are bird functions, or Ernie, for instance, he rides his bicycle. China is right there on the handlebars and goes riding his blue and gold.
Kind of goes fishing too.
Yeah,
China
goes
likes that
fishing too.
China fishing.
She does. And you remember you're dealing with an animal that has the intelligence of a 12-year-old, that is not colorblind, that is extremely social and highly motivated, extremely intelligent. Locking them in our giant bird cages, which are our homes, can actually drive a bird nuts.
They need that interaction.
They have to have it. And I can always tell when someone is not interacting with their bird when they bring them in. Well, I have a problem with my bird. Well, why aren't you interacting with your bird? Well, I do. No, you don't. First of all, you can barely hold him because his toenails are so long and sharp.
Right.
Okay? The very first thing you do is get your bird groomed. Bring him in. We do toenails, beaks, and wings.
And then your bird is so happy for you to take
Exactly.
them back after Deborah's mauled them with the grooming equipment that they,
You're their savior.
you are. You're their savior.
No, it really is.
Now, Rudy, the funny thing is, and I have this big Bolivian military macaw, but he is, I was going to say a word, but I can't say it on here, but it was, anyway, so he is a big bird, and he is all
Muscle.
and about himself. He's very proud bird. And when I bring him in, he whines and cries when he gets toweled. But when he comes out of there, he is just so sweet. All of a sudden, I can do things that I can never do with Rudy. Hug him even. Sometimes he'll let me hug him. But
That's a wonderful experience. Just the other way around, when I bring Keno in the shop, Deborah says, "Oh no," and runs.
I do not.
Keno doesn't.
God. Well, also, clipping their wings. A free-flighted bird is, people say all the time talk about dominancy and stuff. A free-flighted bird is a dominant bird. It's going to play a game called Catch Me If You Think You Can.
Right, because it can
That's
get
a form
away.
of dominancy. Okay, a clipped bird is a bird that is dependent on you to move it around, and they become a lot more handleable. Now, Willow's free-flighted. But Willow also will do recall and stuff, and when you do work with a bird, and that's a very dangerous thing.
You can lose your bird.
Yeah, and trust me, people do not give you back your bird when they find them.
Not one like her,
No,
especially.
no.
She is a magnificent bird.
No, and
Right.
and free flight is not for the faint of heart, and you've got to know what you're doing, and the bird has to be very well trained.
Right.
So getting their wings clipped and getting them out and about is probably the most important social thing you'll do for your bird in bringing it around to being a good, kind bird. So.
And I think the thing about taking birds outside, you know, and we take our birds to, we take the wings birds to events,
Always.
weddings, we'll take them out to
Birthday parties.
senior citizen places. We have coming up, we will be at the Schuster for the Lion King. Wings of the Rainbow will be there with the birds, and also at the Crone Conservatory in Cincinnati for the annual butterfly show, which begins April 16th and runs through June. And so several of the weekends we will have the Wings Over the Rainbow birds out there. So you'll need to, you know, if you live in those areas or you like butterflies, come and see us with the birds. But all the birds, except for Willow, will be clipped so that we can transport them safely. It makes them more handleable. And the thing about being outside with birds that you have to consider if you're going to take your bird outside is that there are predator animals out there, whether it's a dog, a hawk,
Exactly, cats.
a cat that can attack your bird. And so when you do have your bird outside, absolutely, no doubt, not even 10 seconds going inside the house. If you go inside, the bird comes with you.
Yeah.
You must supervise.
Many people have left their bird in a cage. And it's amazing how a raccoon can get through the bars and will eat your bird. Many people have walked outside their door and had a hawk swoop down, and they will take your bird. So
And I can testify to that because we live in more of a rural setting, and I've had my birds out and had hawks interested and watched. So we've got quite a few in our area, so we do have to watch that quite a bit.
And if you have a bird feeder in your area, some people will say that that's a hawk feeder because
And it is.
because the birds, especially the doves, the hawks will hang around. Now with and even if you think your bird is clipped, and I know I've told this story before, but it is important. I had my daughter's little bird, who's a Lutino ringneck, beautiful little bird, and good, strong flyers. Certain birds are really strong flyers, and I find conures are very, especially the cherry heads.
the cherry heads are, the blue crowns, grays.
Yes.
My mom. Okay, I'm going to tell the story on my mom. My parents have a gray, Maggie, and they would always come to the door to wave goodbye with Maggie on their shoulder, and it made me a nervous wreck. And I would say, just stop. Don't do that. Just put her inside, shut the door. Maggie took flight one day, and I knew she was going to do it, and she didn't get far, but she got to about 1/10 of a mile to the bottom of the street, and we got her.
They can go over 5 miles in one day.
And the chances of getting your bird back are very remote. Now, with my daughter's bird, I was at a mutual friend of ours, and her house backs up to a golf course, and she has a high porch, and a gust of wind came, lifted the bird up. He rode the currents. He had 3 flight feathers.
It only takes 2 flight feathers to get a bird off the ground.
It took us an hour and a half to find him. He was 40 feet up in a sycamore tree. Didn't know how to come down.
Yeah.
He was frightened. He'd never flown like that before. He didn't recognize anything. Your bird can't recognize your house. It's never been outside. It doesn't know what your roof looks like. And so the thing is that if you're going to take your bird outside, clip the bird.
Clip them and walk them around the neighborhood. And do a test flight before you take your bird out.
How do you
And
do that?
you just wish him up in the air and see how far they can go. And if he's going to keep going onto the couch or something, you better get his wings clipped.
Before you take them
And
out.
there are many, many different types of clips out there. I am a firm believer in taking off the first 7 feathers, the 7 flight feathers. Others will do every other. But I have seen so many parrots with that clip and still be able to fly, and people still lose them. Well, we just left the vets and it was clipped, and
A
it's
lot
gone.
of vets do what they call a cosmetic clip, where they leave the longest flight feather. If you have a really strong flyer, like my cherry head buddy,
It'll still go.
he can still fly, even after I get
exactly.
him clipped.
Exactly.
And, I have 2 old birds that have gone to the same vet for their grooming for years and years and years, and they don't make a sound.
Yeah.
So they're accustomed to it. You do the rest of my birds.
Yeah.
But Buddy can fly. We half the time we don't even clip Buddy because they're really, is he flying strong or less strong? I mean, because he always can fly.
And remember, it's not always that they can fly, but they've got that current that they're going to hit, and they're going to go with
And
it.
use.
And we did get Boo back, by the way.
Yeah,
Boo
I
finally
know.
made the jump and came back to us, and we were so lucky because there were hawks
Yeah.
in the area.
Yeah.
But okay, so today we've talked about, we've just got about 3 minutes left today. The show flies, doesn't it? Okay, and socializing your bird and how important that is. And if you have a problem with a bird that is biting, and we call it the honeymoon period, where you
Yes.
bring a bird home and it's really well behaved until it gets
It
figured
usually
out.
takes about 3 months for a bird to start showing its true colors, and by then we either end up with it or most people will just get rid of it.
Many birds have a black beauty story because they've had so many homes. Most of the birds that we get in have had.
Yeah, we just got Alex in. He's only 10 years old, and that was his 5th home he had just left. They only had him since Labor Day. It's February now, not even 6 months.
Exactly.
Honeymoon period is over and the bird begins to assert itself, begins to test the waters with biting. If you aren't handling the bird a lot, you'll end up with a wild animal in a cage, and that's very
fast.
sad.
Very fast.
And we have worked with birds that, I know some, was it Cappy? How long did it take Cappy? Cappy's a little cockatoo to come out.
Sulfur crusted, and she still has moments that if a certain person walks in, it will remind her of a past incident with someone, and she'll go, and she's gone. She'll take off on the other side and over into the other side. But Willow, all of them, Zoe, years. It can take up to 6 years. We have
Sparky.
Sparky.
I've noticed the other day Sparky is actually coming around some now, but it's taken a long time.
And we've had some parents, we've had some calls there. Look at Sassy. It took 6 years for Sassy to finally her little light bulb to go off and say, "Oh, I'm ready."
I can go outside my cage.
Yeah, and
Well,
so
why don't you give the website again?
it's wingsovertherainbow.googlepages.com, or you can just go on Google and Google us, and we're there.
You can also join us on Facebook. So it would be facebook.com/Wings Over the Rainbow. And we'd love to have you make comments if you have questions. We'll crowdsource it. Ooh, how do you like that? Crowdsource. It's a social media term. Or we'll try and answer it as best as we can. And you can give us a call. We're in Moraine. 937-396-0950. We'd love to hear from you. Please join us again. We'll be back again here on DATV with our birds, and we'll look forward to that. Thanks for joining us.